One game does not a series make, but after watching the opener of last night's series between Golden State and New Orleans, a game in which I lost a 15-time best bet on the Pelicans, I can tell you now, not only was I wrong with my Game 1 selection, but I was wrong in even assuming that New Orleans had a shot to stay competitive. No, not win, but stay competitive in this series, because it's all wrong from a matchup perspective. I thought it was very interesting at the outset of game number 1 where Steve Kerr changed his starting lineup. Now you remember, prior to the start of the first round series against San Antonio, Kerr made 2 significant moves in his starting lineup. With Steph Curry out, this is a team, the Warriors, who all season long really went through stretches where their defensive focus was lacking. So he inserted Andre Iguodala and JaVale McGee into the starting lineup. And other than in game number 4 against San Antonio, Warriors really responded with more defensive focus and intensity. But against the Pelicans, he kept Iguodala in there and instead took McGee out. And McGee was giving them about 16 to 20 very effective minutes. And he put Nick Young in at starting forward. Why did he do it? Because he wanted to accelerate the tempo of the game. And you saw in that first quarter, and especially in the second quarter, how the pace, well, the Pelicans simply couldn't keep up with that tempo the Warriors were playing with. And suddenly, the defensive flaws that the Warriors had all season long, that wasn't the issue. The one thing the Warriors can do is run the floor, and that's not the Pelicans' game. And as I watched the game unfold even further, I realized my error in judgment. And listen, when you gamble, and when you're a handicapper, you got to learn from your mistakes. Otherwise, what are you doing this for? I realized as I'm losing money last night, in the Portland series, the key for New Orleans, yes, their guards were able to neutralize Stoudemire and McCollum because Holiday and Rondo played so well, but Anthony Davis and Mirotic were able to have their way with undersized and not very talented Portland front line. That's not going to be the case here with Golden State. Draymond Green had a great all-around game last night. And then when you factor in the athleticism on the multiple parts that Steve Kerr can run out there with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green surrounded by whoever else he wants to throw out there to accompany Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala, that's a combination of lineups that New Orleans is just not going to be able to contend with. So you look at last night, and you look at some of the numbers where Drew Holiday struggled and went 4 for 14. And let's see, looking at the box score, Mirotic went 3 for 9. And Anthony Davis, yeah, he had an okay statistical night. 9 for 20. But the most glaring aspect, he only had 4 free throws. He was unable to get his way and work his magic in the lane because Durant was there, because Draymond Green was there. And that takes away a big aspect of the Pelicans' game. So again, I just don't think the Pelicans, which I think everybody and their brother bought into the Pelicans last night as the 9.5 point dog. I just don't think they're going to be able to compete in this series. And that's even before Steph Curry makes his anticipated return. Okay, so we have 2 games today. My best bet, as I look to rebound from that loss last night, is going to be on the Indiana-Cleveland contest, which leaves me with a free pick today, taking a look at game number 1 between Houston and Utah. Now listen, I could not get my hands around that Houston-Minnesota series, but I like this one, game number 1, and the free pick here, I'm going to go with the Rockets and lay the points. I think there are 2 big factors that go against the Jazz here. One, they were extended because they blew that 25-point lead when they could have closed out that series in Oklahoma City in game number 5, and they had to return home on Friday night and play right down to the wire. So they are a team that had a very short turnaround here, playing now on Sunday afternoon after that Friday night game at home. And 2, they lost Ricky Rubio, who was playing some of the best ball of his career, not only defensively and leading that team as a floor general, but also providing an offensive spark and giving them another option in their arsenal. out for game number 1, probably out for the series because of the hamstring injury suffered, unfortunately, in game number 6. That means Donovan Mitchell, who is their offensive leader, is going to have to share some of the floor general duties along with Joe Ingles. And that puts them at a decided disadvantage when you've got Chris Paul and James Harden handling the ball duties on the other side of the floor. Listen, the Rockets dominated this series during the regular season. They won all 4 games by an average of 17.5 points. In one of those meetings, they were down by 8 in the fourth quarter, and they won it going away by 20. James Harden, in the 4 meetings this year, averaged 34.3 points, and that includes ringing up 56 points in one of those wins. The short turnaround is going to hurt them. Rubio's absence is going to hurt them. The Rockets, I think, also learned how they came out with a lackluster performance in game number 1 against Minnesota and barely won that game in the first round series opener. I don't think they're going to be caught flat-footed as they were in that series opener, in this series opener. Also, I think that it helped Utah in their opening series against Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is a team that plays inside the three-point line, meaning they're not a team that really likes to launch a lot of three-pointers other than Russell Westbrook, as opposed to the Rockets, a team that is one of the most prolific all-time three-point shooting teams in NBA history, a team that started off slowly in the first round against Minnesota from beyond the arc, but finished strong, hitting at least 15 three-pointers in the final 4 games of that series. And who are you going to defend on the perimeter defensively? I mean, they just have so many guys that can hit the 3 ball. Also, where Donovan Mitchell did a very good job defensively. And think about how much this guy has on his shoulders. He's going to have to assume some of the point guard duties. He's going to have to assume all of being, once again, the leading scorer for the Jazz. But he's also going to be tasked defensively with, oh, by the way, James Harden, he's your man. But Russell Westbrook was a little bit easier having to defend because Harden is a much more efficient shooter than Westbrook is, because Westbrook is a high-volume, inefficient shooter. Again, Mitchell's going to have his bag full today. So I just think that if you're going to play the game, you got to lay the 11.5 points with Houston and just not look back. This could be a blowout, the magnitude of Golden State was today, or Saturday, excuse me, against New Orleans. So that's the way I would play it. Lay the points with the Rockets, and we move forward. I wish you well on this Sunday, and talk to you again on Monday when we do this again. Good luck, everybody.